To understand this whole mess, we got to rewind a bit, go back to the roots of BMF.
Right, because BMF, they weren't just a regular crew. They were a force, a drug trafficking organization that rose to power back in the 90s and early 2000s. Think nationwide network, millions of dollars, the whole shebang. Their stories got it all.
Ambition, violence, loyalty, betrayal, and yes, some serious consequences too. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
And then we have 50 Cent coming into the picture. Most people know him for his music, right? But dude's a business mogul, built an empire for himself. He's the one who created the BMF TV series, based on Big Meech's life.
And this is where things get interesting. It wasn't just a business deal for 50 Cent, it was deeper than that. He saw something in Lil Meech, Big Meech's son, took him under his wing, gave him acting lessons, and a starring role in the show. Talk about a major opportunity.
Oh yeah, 50 even bailed Lil Meech out of trouble a few times. Stepped up like a mentor, father figure almost. You don't see that every day, especially in Hollywood. It seemed like a real bond, a genuine connection. Exactly, and that's what makes the whole betrayal thing hit so hard. In the streets, loyalty is everything. It's not just a word. It's a code, a bond that you don't break, or there are consequences, serious ones.
Right. Then comes this huge curveball. Big Meech gets out of prison, and almost immediately, rumors start flying that he was a snitch, an informant for the feds.
Yeah.
Even though it's never been proven, that accusation hangs over him like a dark cloud, especially in that world.
Yeah, it's like a stain that's hard to wash off, even if it's not true. It throws everything into question. Makes you doubt everything you thought you knew about someone. In the street world, that can be devastating.
Charleston White, in his video, he says there's no proof, no smoking gun, but the whispers, they just keep going. You know, it's like this shadow following Big Meech around.
Exactly, and it makes everything more complicated. Because here's the thing, even with all that doubt swirling around, 50 Cent stuck by Big Meech. He didn't waver, didn't turn his back. That shows you how strong their connection really was.
But then, Big Meech makes a move that changes the whole game. He decides to partner with Rick Ross. Now, any hip-hop fan knows, Rick Ross and 50 Cent, they're like oil and water. They've had this huge public feud for years. It was like Big Meech was choosing sides, and he chose the opposite side of 50.
That's a major blow, especially after all the support 50 had given Big Meech and Lil Meech. Imagine how betrayed he must have felt. It's like a slap in the face. It's a direct attack on that loyalty they had built up over the years.
It'd be like your best friend suddenly hanging out with your worst enemy. Like, what? Why? It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly, and it's not just a personal thing either. It throws the whole BMF series into question. Can you really keep making a show about someone who's basically aligned themselves with your rival? Like, it's messy fast.
And then Lil Meech, he kind of pours gasoline on the fire. He apologizes to 50 Cent at first, but then he starts publicly hanging out with Rick Ross, and get this, Floyd Mayweather, another one of 50 Cent's biggest rivals.
Oh man, talk about twisting the knife. He's posting photos, videos, flaunting these new alliances. It's like he's trying to get a reaction out of 50. And let's be real, he probably knew exactly what he was doing.
Charleston White says in his video, he thinks this was the final straw, the point of no return for 50 Cent. Like, there's no coming back from that.
It was like a public declaration of war, a big middle finger to everything they had built up until that point.
And 50 Cent, well, he's not exactly known for being passive, right? He's not the kind of guy to just sit back and take it.
Oh no, he's about to unleash the Kraken.
Exactly. He's got a plan, and it's about to hit Lil Meech and Big Meech where it hurts the most. First, he cancels BMF, the show that launched Lil Meech's career. That's a huge financial blow, right? Not to mention the exposure, the opportunities that came with it.
Gone, just like that. And then 50 starts publicly critiquing Lil Meech's acting, saying he's not that good, comparing him to other up-and-coming actors. He even goes as far as suggesting that Lil Meech is just riding his father's coattails, not really talented on his own.
It's brutal, man. 50's not holding back. He's sending a clear message. You messed with the wrong guy.
And to really understand this whole thing, you got to look at the history between 50 Cent and Floyd Mayweather. Those two have been at each other's throats for years. It's legendary, like a boxing match that never happened but played out in the media, in diss tracks and interviews. It's wild.
It wasn't always like that, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they used to be cool, even friends, right? I remember seeing them together back in the day, like they were a power duo.
Whoa, yeah, they were tight. Even did a cover shoot for XXL magazine together.
Yeah.
But then things went south. Around 2012, when Floyd was in jail on those domestic violence charges, he asked 50 to manage his businesses while he was locked up.
A big sign of trust, right? I mean, who lets someone else handle their money, their companies, everything?
Right.
Especially when you're Floyd Mayweather with all that cash flow.
Right, exactly. But here's the kicker. 50 discovered that Floyd's business affairs were a complete mess. Like, companies weren't even properly registered. It was chaos. So 50, being the loyal friend that he was at the time, he steps up, invests his own money, reportedly close to $1 million, to get everything straightened out.
That's a solid friend right there, going above and beyond trying to help a brother out.
Right. But when Floyd gets out of jail, instead of being grateful, he turns on 50, accuses him of trying to take over his companies, refuses to pay him back the money he invested. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you.
Ouch. That's gotta sting, especially after 50 went out of his way to help him.
Oh, it did. And that was the beginning of the end of their friendship. From there, it was all-out war. Insults, diss tracks, personal attacks. They dragged each other through the mud.
Oh, I remember the reading challenge 50 put out there, daring Floyd to read a page from Harry Potter, offering to donate a ton of money to charity if he could do it. Classic 50 move, using humor to throw shade.
And the boxing match rumors, remember those? Everyone was hyped for that fight, but it never happened. Just another chapter in their never-ending saga.
They knew how to keep the headlines coming, that's for sure. And then there was that time Floyd invited Tierra Mary to perform at his club. She was suing 50 at the time over that revenge porn tape. So it was a direct shot at him, like rubbing salt in the wound.
Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing. It was a power move, a way of saying, I can mess with your life too.
It was messy, man. And that feud, it just kept going year after year. Open letters on Instagram, accusations of snitching. It was like a soap opera, but with way more money and ego involved.
So when Big Meech and Lil Meech link up with Floyd, it's not just some random coincidence. They're stepping into a minefield, a pre-existing war zone. They knew what they were doing.
It's like they were waving a red flag in front of a bull. And 50 Cent, well, he charged.
He wasn't gonna let that slide. So what does he do? He posts this video of Lil Meech hanging out with Rick Ross, all buddy-buddy, and 50's caption is something like, Rick Ross is probably giving him free chicken wings. Savage.
That's so 50. Using humor to deliver a knockout punch. He's not just angry, he's hurt. He feels betrayed by someone he tried to help, someone he thought he had a genuine connection with.
Exactly. And then comes the AI-generated video, right? Where 50 uses deepfake technology to make it seem like Lil Meech is following in his father's footsteps, heading straight for trouble. That's some next-level shade.
That's like 4D chess right there. He's not just throwing punches, he's playing the long game, using technology to craft a narrative, to make a point. It's genius and kind of scary at the same time.
And you know, some people, like Boosie Badass, they came to Lil Meech's defense. They said he wasn't involved in the snitching allegations, that he shouldn't be punished for his father's actions.
Which makes sense, to a degree. But then 50, he unleashes the receipts. He starts talking about all the times he helped Lil Meech, bailed him out of trouble, even put him through rehab for substance abuse, stuff the public didn't know about.
He painted a picture of Lil Meech as someone who was struggling, who needed guidance, someone who was maybe making some bad choices.
He even tells this story about Russell Hornsby, Lil Meech's co-star on BMF, noticing that Lil Meech was high on set, throwing up during a scene where they were supposed to be handling weapons. It's a whole other side of Lil Meech that we didn't see.
It's like 50 saying, look, I was there for this kid, I tried to help him, but he kept messing up.
And you can feel the frustration in 50's voice, the disappointment. He put so much time and effort into Lil Meech, and it felt like it was all for nothing.
It's a classic case of tough love, but on a whole other level, it's like he's saying, I can't save you from yourself.
It makes you wonder, right? Is Lil Meech just repeating the cycle, following in his father's footsteps? Or is he trying to break free, forge his own path?
It's a question that hangs over this whole saga, a question that maybe only Lil Meech can answer. It's like, is he gonna rise above it all or fall into the same traps? It's tough, man. And Charleston White, he brings up another point. He says one of Big Meech's biggest missteps was denying those snitching allegations on camera. Like, he went public, swore he never cooperated with the feds.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, that kind of backfired, right?
Yeah, because it just made things more confusing, more suspicious. If he was really innocent, why even address it? It almost made him look more guilty, you know?
Right, right. And it definitely didn't help his case with 50 Cent.
Right.
Like, how do you defend someone who's contradicting themselves like that?
Exactly. It's like he shot himself in the foot. And then, by siding with Floyd Mayweather, Big Meech, and Lil Meech, they basically sealed their fate. They gave 50 Cent the perfect excuse to walk away, to wash his hands of the whole thing.
It's like they handed him the loaded gun and said, here, finish this off.
Exactly. And it's a reminder, man, that trust is a fragile thing, especially in this world. Even years of friendship, of loyalty, can disappear in an instant if you feel betrayed.
It's true. And it shows you how much power these guys have, how their decisions can impact so many lives. It's not just about them. It's about their families, their crews, everyone connected to them.
It's like a domino effect. One wrong move can set off a chain reaction that's hard to stop. And this whole story, it really makes you think, doesn't it? About loyalty, betrayal, the choices we make, the consequences that follow.
It does, yeah. Like, are there ever situations where loyalty should take a back seat? Where you gotta look out for yourself, even if it means turning your back on someone you care about?
Tough questions, man. There's no easy answers. But this story, it forces us to confront those questions, to examine our own values, our own code of ethics.
It shows us that even in a world of fame and fortune, relationships can be messy, complicated. Loyalty isn't always a guarantee, and betrayal can come from the people you least expect.
It's a reminder that we got to be careful who we trust, who we align ourselves with, because in the end, we're all responsible for our own choices, and those choices, they have consequences.
That's a good takeaway. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Big Meech, 50 Cent, Lil Meech, and this whole web of betrayal, we're left with a lot to think about, right? It's a story that stays with you, makes you question things.
Definitely. It's about loyalty and betrayal, sure, but it's also about family, legacy, the struggle to find your own way in a world where everyone expects you to follow a certain path.
It's a story that's both captivating and thought-provoking. And even though we've reached the end of this particular deep dive, the saga continues, right? There's always another chapter, another twist, another betrayal waiting to happen.
That's the truth, man. In this world, the game never really ends.
So until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.